Why do some bariatric programs have 8 phases of a diet after surgery and others have 3? And isn't diet a bad word anyway? Hey, I'm Steph Wagner. I am a dietitian specializing in bariatric surgery and obesity medicine, and I like to support patients in their everyday life after surgery at bariatricfoodcoach.com. So I've been doing a video series on kind of the diet phases after surgery, and really the running joke in all these videos is how vastly different the programs can be. But as a whole, there's kind of an overarching process. It's just how detailed those phases will be from program to program. So typically, because of surgery, there's inflammation, there's healing, there's the risk of upsetting some things and having some sort of a blockage occur. So we start with a liquid phase of diet to keep stress down, to allow the stomach to heal, and to keep hydration up. Then after the liquids, we transition into a time of softer protein foods. It's kind of the time to get the training wheels on, figure out bite sizes and speed and where your stopping point is. And this is a really important time to learn how to eat before we move into that third final stretch of kind of getting into solid textured proteins and starting to add in some fibrous veggies and so on. So those are the 3 main phases: liquid, soft, and solid. But some programs will kind of divide that up even further. So phase 1 might actually be phase 1 and 2 and so on. And so we might get to 8 phases, which is why I keep mentioning when you go Google recipe ideas online, use descriptive words instead of phase 2 recipe. You might put like pureed recipes, mushy food recipes. By the way, which is worse, pureed or mushy? It's a toss-up for me, really. But this is a good time to tell you that I have a recipe post with tons of pureed and soft protein food recipes that I will link below the video. And I have a free pureed menu plan. So if you need to get some ideas to help you get through this interesting phase of the diet, check out those resources below. Some things to note about moving into this soft time. You've been on liquids, you've been doing protein shakes, you've been doing water. Now we're moving into this next time, and it's really exciting. You probably have never been so excited to try a scrambled egg in your life. Eggs, interestingly, sometimes don't go well for some, but then they're fine for others. This is a important note that when you introduce a food, I would do it one at a time. Compared to bites of egg and bites of cottage cheese and bites of shredded cheese, if you do have some sort of discomfort reaction, vomiting, heaven forbid, you might not know which one was the culprit. So something like eggs, you really just want to start with eggs. If you try, refried beans for the first time, just try the beans so that you can isolate if anything is causing any trouble, which one was it? Now, if something is going to cause trouble, sometimes it is the food itself. Maybe that just wasn't a good one for you, and maybe you just wait and try it again in a few weeks. Or it could be how you ate it. So this is where it becomes very, very important to take tiny bites, pause in between your bites, and find where your stopping point is. And this is a learning process. For some, it will be obvious, I cannot eat anymore. For others, one little bite too much and they're like, oh, I really should have stopped sooner. So it takes being very mindful at your mealtime, not being so distracted, but paying attention to how fast you're going. You can use an app like Bariatric, has a built-in timer. It's kind of like a metronome for your meals where you can have it kind of ding every 10 or 15 seconds or however long you set it to help you know how you're pacing your bites out. Bite sizes, I've heard different examples of what they should be. I tend to say your pinky fingernail, maybe a black bean. I've even heard the end of a pencil eraser. So it's a very small bite because we're trying to get food into a really small area. It's kind of like a game of Tetris. If you go too fast or you have too much and those food bites start backing up on each other, it can feel like something is stuck. It can feel heavy. It can feel like pressure in your chest. It can also feel like you're full, but maybe it was what we call premature fullness. You thought you were full, but an hour later, you feel like you haven't eaten anything, and that can turn into kind of a grazing pattern. So this is really the time to work on bite sizes and speed, especially because The next phase, it's going to be even more important. So I mentioned this is the training wheels time. You're getting used to bite sizes and speed, but technically we're using foods that aren't quite as risky. When in a few weeks or whenever you are cleared to have solid foods and you have some hamburger patty or chicken breast, if you have a little bit too much or a little too big of a bite or you go a little too fast, you're going to notice it a lot more when we increase the density of the protein. I also have a free resource for the types of protein, liquids, soft and solid. And something that is important about that is I use that handout when patients are stuck in the soft food phase, because that happens quite often actually, that someone starts getting into Greek yogurt and cottage cheese and shaved deli meat and it goes down better and it feels better and it's more comfortable. And so they're not moving on to things like pork chop and chicken breast. But we have more hunger control and portion control when we move into the solid proteins. If someone's kind of stuck in that soft protein phase, they can eat more of a soft protein and that soft protein is going to leave their stomach pouch sooner, so they're hungry sooner. So the soft foods are great. It's not that you can't have them again, but maybe you pair, cottage cheese with your hamburger patty. But I just want you to be cautious not to get stuck in the zone of soft proteins for too long. Another really important thing about moving into the soft phase is we have now introduced the water rule. Your drinking rule is now in play. On a liquid diet, you're drinking liquids all day long. You don't have to worry about it. But now you can drink until your first bite. But as you start taking your small bites, you have to put the beverage away, consume your meal. Ideally, we're gonna get to 20-minute meals, no more than 30 minutes, and it might not get there right away. When you're eating such a small amount, you probably can't make that last 20 minutes, but that will probably come down the road. But you're not drinking during that time. And then when you're finished eating, you're going to set a timer for 30, maybe 60 minutes, and programs differ on that. So go with what they say, but it'll be at least 30, if not 60 minutes after your meal before you resume drinking. So that means that we are taking time away from your hydration, and we need to make sure that you can continue to hit your water goal, even taking time away. So if you are really behind on water and it's time for dinner, you may have to make a decision on if you're going to focus on your hydration or your meal. So hopefully down the road, you'll be able to get all of it in, your 3 meals a day and all your water. But just know that because you're still in a hydration risk, there may be times that you need to drink a protein shake for dinner so that you can keep your water going. Now, if you do feel like your food is getting stuck, there's a temptation to drink water to get that food to pass through. Don't do it. It tends to make it the opposite. So if food is already stuck and there's no room, and then you're adding liquid to someplace that there's no room, it's not going to end well. So if something's stuck, go for a walk, give it some time, but certainly trying to walk around, stay upright. It will pass. It's not fun, but it's kind of a lesson learned. Okay, so you made it, stage 2. This is exciting. Again, maybe it's stage 2, maybe it's stage 5. Who can know? But you're in this soft food phase and you can start to get some enjoyment from your food again. And it's only going to get better when you can start moving into solids very soon. But again, use this as your time to get your training wheels on. You're practicing so that when you move into solids, you can take the training wheels off and you're ready to move forward into lots of recipes after surgery.